On this episode of the Video Archives podcast, the bases are loaded, and Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avary are hoping for a grand slam home run in The Bad News Bears in Breaking Training. In the sequel to the smash hit, the Bad News Bears are back and on their way to Houston to play an exhibition game. The only problem? They have no coach. Quentin and Roger discuss how Jackie Earle Hailey earns his spot as top billed, how the film deals with issues like a true 70s movie, and how the film both fulfills childhood dreams and teaches you lessons as an adult. Then, we continue the conversation for our patrons with two more titles. First up, a certified Quentin pick with 1927's The Fighting Eagle. Starring Rod LaRock and produced by Cecil B. DeMille, Quentin and Roger walk us through this Napoleonic Wars adventure flick and highlight their favorite moments. Then, beep beep, make way for, hey wait, that's not a love bug, that's a pink car. Quentin and Roger take a ride in a pink car.
Ride in a pink car!
Where a man thought to be dead returns home to find that everything has changed. And he's sure as heck not wanted there. I'm Gala Avary, along for the ride, and joining us now, here's Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avary.
Thank you, Gala. Hello, sports fans. This is Quentin Tarantino.
And I'm Roger Avary.
And this is another exciting episode of the Video Archives podcast, Kill the Bacalav. We have three movies as per usual. The first movie is a movie that I've always been a big fan of. And it's one of those, it's one of those sort of like a B-, B, solid B, movies from the 70s that I really liked when it came out. I've always had a fond memory of it. Maybe I saw it every 8 years or so. And then always, wow, that was really good. It kept hanging in there. However, when I pick some of them for the show, they hold up or sometimes they don't. I'm not more cynical now. I'm just kind of tougher. I've seen it a couple of times. I'm kind of over it. So I never quite know. Will I still have the same affection for it that I did before? But then I'm hoping that you haven't seen it and that you will pick up the affection that maybe I've lost along the way. So that was the suspense for me. When I set up the movie, it's going to be our first movie tonight on our A block, which is the sequel to Michael Ritchie's The Bad News Bears, and that's Michael Pressman's The Bad News Bears in Breaking Training.
Sit on your all day, we're gonna play some ball.
The Bad News Bears are going to the Houston Astrodome. They've got the cops on their tails, girls on their minds, and the game of their lives at stake.
You better back up, sucker. I feel good.
The all-new Bad News Bears in Breaking Training, rated PG.
The Walter Matthau, Tatum O'Neal-less sequel,
That's right.
but yet all the other kids, except for Engelbert, because he was the fat kid who got skinny, and so they had to replace him. All the other kids show up.
Except for like Loomis. Loomis only makes he makes one little he has like a more like a cameo. Like he might have really broken his leg.
I'm sure if he broke his leg, he'd be walking around and he'd just be in the movie in a cast.
They'd keep him in a cast and have him make it something.
Yeah, his dad probably moved to Germany or something like that, and so okay, I'll give you one day, but we're not hanging out with him for 2 months.
The full title is not. It's not Breaking Training. It's The Bad News Bears in Breaking Training. You have to say the whole thing.
Did I not say it?
No. I'm confirming this.
Oh no, you have to. No,
this is the case.
Oh no,
right?
I can prove it on the back of the box. The quotes start on The Bad News Bears in Breaking Training.
Yeah, so that is like the whole thing.
Yes. It's camouflaged as if it's a credit block, but it's actually the title. When you called up Delamo, and in theater 4, The Bad News Bears in Breaking Training.
You get the whole thing. Okay, so you said you were going to do this one. I got really excited because who our age, wasn't weaned on and didn't absolutely love The Bad News Bears.
Well, okay, by the way, just to set it up, okay, when I called, normally I try to spring it on Roger when he walks through the door. But in this case, we won't say what movie it was, but we watched the movie and we decided not to do it. But we liked it enough that we could do it. And then like 2 days later.
Yeah, you called me up and you were like, no. No,
life's too
I don't want to fake it.
Life's too short. All right. We only have so many movies to do. We got to do a different movie. And I said, hey, look, why don't you just show up early and let's just do we'll watch the Bad News Bears and Breaking Training. And that's for sure will make the show. And you go, wow, that sounds great.
Well, it sounds great. And what's funny is I couldn't remember seeing the movie and I wasn't sure that I had actually seen the sequel.
Well, I'm still not sure how you came out on that. So did you? Or you did,
okay,
but
the answer is yes, but I didn't remember anything but that one shot.
With a cop.
The one single shot of Jackie Earle Hailey driving the van full of kids. And he's like, what? Like 13 to 15
So you didn't
max.
remember William Devane?
I didn't remember William Devane. I didn't remember the game. I didn't remember the hotel. I didn't remember anything. But what I remembered was that one single shot of him driving where he pulls off being like, some kind of hippie dude who's like in his late 20s because he's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth and his sunglasses on and the cops go with it. That was such a triumphant moment that has never left my memory. And without even thinking about Bad News Bears, I think about that scene all the time.
Okay, so time to read the book. The Bad News Bears and Breaking Training is the comic and poignant second in the series of adventures with the pint-sized Sandlot baseball players initiated with the smash success, The Bad News Bears. The picture picks up the Bears' career a year after their infamous second-place finish in the North Valley League. Faced with a chance to play the Houston Toros for a shot at the Japanese champs, they devise a way to get to Texas to play at the famed Astrodome. On their pilgrimage to Houston, the Bears gain a new coach. Dump that coach and add a new pitcher who can't get his fastball over the plate. Finds another coach who shows how it's done and goes on to comeback victory with all eyes on Japan.
Okay, first of all, I just have to say how beautiful this Paramount catalog title box is. The white Paramount box.
We are particularly fans of the Paramount catalog title.
But the fact that it has that graphic on the front, which is like straight out of Mad Magazine.
Oh, yeah.
Which was like, of course, the Bad News Bears, the poster of that was like a Mad Magazine.
I think this is probably Jack Davis who drew this.
It's probably Jack. Yeah, I'm sure he did the first movie, I think, the poster for the first movie.
Oh, he did? Well, he for sure did the first poster. Yes, exactly. Yes, he did.
And Quentin, I also have to say that the tape that you were reading from is from your special collection of unopened VHS boxes.
Yes.
This is an unopened cassette you're holding.
Yes.
Well,
I have I have a collection. I collect sealed VHSs.
He keeps them on a library card.
Yeah, I have a little library card that I show off my collection. And it's interesting the films I've chosen to collect. There's even a couple of movies that I don't love, but I like the box, and there's something about the era and the tape world. Anyway.
Do you have Bad News Bears also?
So I have Bad News Bears. I have it. The number one thing that you want in the sealed tape collecting thing is you want the watermark. You want the studio watermark on the plastic.
Cellophane.
Yeah. It just
because otherwise it could have been fake cellophane put on an old box.
It doesn't really count unless it has the watermark.
If it doesn't say like MCA or whatever.
It's got to have the watermark. And this one has the Paramount watermark. And so I got the first movie with the Jack Davis drawing of Tatum O'Neal and it's a great video box and with the white backing and everything. And then I found the second one and I was like, oh, well, one, that's a really good video box, but also I really kind of love that movie a little bit. All right, I thought, and so I added it to my collection.
Now, but because
but my thing is, I only have so much room
on your cart,
on my cart, so I don't just buy. I don't go nuts. I have to. If something goes on, something has to come off. All right, So.
It's a nice curated collection, but we didn't watch this on VHS.
No. I like the movie so much that I've had a 16 print of it. So we watched a terrific theatrical 16 print.
It was great. I really enjoyed it.
So I've always really, really liked this film for a multitude of reasons that, by the way, having watched it all bore up, if not boistered, all right, by our screening. But I've always actually said about this film that along with Beneath the Planet of the Apes, it's my favorite studio-based sequel. Now, what do I mean by studio-based? Studio-based sequel. It means it's not auteur-based. It means that, like, the original director didn't...
The movie made money. The studio wanted another.
Yeah, the original director didn't like, okay, so now we did that one, let's do another one. And then it's all from that same mindset. No. This is Paramount. Well, no, that first one did good. Hey, you guys want to do a second one? No, we don't want to do a second one. Well, we want to do a second one, and we're going to do a second one.
With or without you, we're going to do one.
To me, the two best of those are Ted Post's Beneath the Planet of the Apes and Michael Pressman's The Bad News Bears and Breaking Training. And I think part of the thing about The Bad News Bears and Breaking Training is everybody just rose to the occasion. They hired a young screenwriter to write the film, and it was a fellow named Paul Brookman. Mm-hmm. And so he wrote this movie, and this was a really good movie. And then after writing this, he wrote Citizens Band for Jonathan Demme, which is the movie that created Jonathan Demme's critical reappreciation in the mid-'70s. And then after that, he wrote and directed Risky Business.
Deal of the Century, right?
Did he write? Was he one of the writers?
He was one of the writers on Deal of the Century. I think that's what he did right after Bears.
Oh, okay, that would make sense. No, that doesn't make sense because he did Citizens Band right afterwards. This is all like 76, 77. Deal of the Century.
Right, that's 83.
Deal of the Century.
That's like in the 80s.
Yeah.
Right before
Yeah. And then the director, who had an interesting career. He did like 3 interesting movies. He started out at New World Pictures. He did a New World picture that I'm not a big fan of called The Great Texas Dynamite Chase.
Right.
I've never liked that movie, frankly. But it did good enough for him to get a studio deal, and that was this movie. And then after this movie, he did Boulevard Nights.
Yeah. Truco.
Right. Yeah, which...
Remember the ads for that?
Yeah.
Truco! And the gun goes...
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Boulevard Nights is a very corny story that plays like a dramatized ABC after-school special or a TV movie from the mid-'70s on the same subject. But its production design and capturing of lowrider culture is done so well that the corny story that you've seen a million times almost doesn't matter. Then he did a movie I really, really like about kind of like my favorite year, but for summer stock. Mm-hmm. All right, in the 50s, called Those Lips, Those Eyes, with Frank Langella and Tom Hulse, which I always really liked. And then he kind of fell off the world. All right, he kind of fell off the earth for a while, but came back and was one of the best directors on the TV show Justified, which I'm a big fan of.
Did like a ton of television. I mean, like he did Dr. Detroit also.
Oh yeah, he did Dr. Detroit. Yeah.
And which
I think that ended his that ended his
that's
movie
what happened.
career.
Dr. Detroit was a bit of a disaster. Mm-hmm. And after that, he went off and did television, then did To Jillian on Her 37th Birthday, that movie with Claire Danes, like early Claire Danes and Peter Gallagher movie. Mm-hmm. And then after that, it seems to be like a lot of television, but like a reliable good time. Like he's doing like 18 episodes of this, 12 episodes of that.
I'm friends with Walt from that show, and I'm friends with Tim from that show. And no, they really like him. No, he's one of the directors they look forward to working with. They really like Michael Pressman on the show. Anyway, so the idea of the story. So it's a year later. And they really do it about a year and a half after the first movie. So all the kids still more, except for Ogilvy, who looks like he really sprouted.
Yeah, he's doing his best to kind of shrink a little.
He's trying to shrink himself, and he's expanding on camera. Yeah, he's growing. He's growing on camera
in real time.
In real time. He's growing out of his costume on camera. So they came in second place in the first movie of the championship. But I guess it's a situation that don't explain this, that the second place gets to go to the Houston Astrodome and play a little exhibition game in front of a real Astros game. So they're going, and that's a real big fucking deal. But Walter Matthau's not coming back, so Buttermaker, he's fucking out of it. Buttermaker's not coming back, and Amanda has decided she's had enough. All this is off screen. Amanda has apparently decided she's had enough of playing ball. So they have to have a coach, and they get this drill sergeant coach, which, by the way, they've always portrayed him as like a terrible guy. And this time around, he didn't seem so terrible. He just seemed like a coach.
He seemed like he was there to really genuinely coach them, and they just shat all over him, the Bears.
Yeah, I actually think
Manning, I think was his name.
Yeah, I think he actually got a bad rap now, looking at it. I think those kids needed some discipline.
But he taught us as kids, or he apparently taught you as a kid, do not assume things or else we'll make an ass out of you or me and me.
Well, I remember from the trailer, they featured it in the trailer, where the thing about it is the guy's like, he's got a blackboard there, and kids are talking shit. And so one of them has gum in his mouth. And he says, hey, you don't chew gum unless you ask me if it's okay to chew gum. And you want to do anything, you ask me. To assume anything, and he writes on a blackboard, ASSUME. To assume anything is to make an ass, drawing a line in the letter, out of you and me. Now, I've known that my whole life because of this movie. He's a jerk, and so the kids, like, more or less fire him. They chase him away. But
like Jackie Earle Hailey.
Well, I was going to describe I was going to describe it blow by blow.
Okay, sorry. It's just because it's the introduction of Jackie Earle Hailey. It's just,
well, we'll talk about him.
Okay.
We'll talk about him.
But by the way, when I was a kid, I did not like Jackie Earle Hailey. He represented everything I didn't like. Now, as an adult, I'm looking at him and I'm like, look how cool that little kid is.
He is legitimately better in the second movie than he is in the first movie.
Yeah.
I think he's miscast in the first movie, and he grows into the casting in the second movie. Well, also, he is who he is.
Yeah.
So you've accepted it more in the second movie. And then he grows into it. They got to drive to the Houston Astrodome from California. So they need an adult driving. They need a chaperone. They need
their coach.
They need a coach. They're not going to do it in a day. So they need a chaperone to book them a hotel and look after them, take responsibility for them. Well, they don't want a coach. They want to just do their own thing. They don't want a chaperone because Kelly can drive. They get a van, a dubious van, could be stolen, and they just go on their own, drive to Houston on their own. And because I'm the exact same age as the majority of these kids, or the older kids anyway. I'm the exact same age. I was about 12 or 13 when this movie came out. And one of the reasons this movie rang a bell with me, aside from the fact that I love the Bad News Bears, and I'd seen it a zillion times, and I couldn't wait to see the sequel. Even without Taylor O'Neill, I couldn't wait to see the sequel. It rang my bell, my personal inner bell, so much because the number one thing I wanted to be at 12 and 13 was a teenager.
Yeah.
I wanted to be Greg Brady in the last season of the Brady Bunch, driving his Camaro, showing up from dates in his like brown leather tan jackets, he's still a kid. He's still living at home, but he's kind of living an adult life a little bit. Yeah. He's going on dates. He's doing shit. He's not just stuck with the other kids. That's what I wanted to be. And so the idea of at 12 or 13 going on a road trip with your friends with no adult supervision. Oh my God, that was my fantasy.
Fantasy fulfillment.
That they get to do that and play that out for like 3/4 of the movie was just really, really great. I loved it then. And a combination of just the craft of the movie, the fact that it's a really good movie, the fact that it's effective, the fact that those kids are a fucking dream, and this is the only time you're ever going to get them because they're kids. They're going to grow out of this in a second. The fact that they knew that we need to do a movie with that group of kids in the next year or
we'll lose it.
They're going to evaporate. They're going to fucking evaporate. And the fact
they know that they're making Bad News Bears go to Japan. They know that. They're making two movies. The studio's like, we're making these movies.
Probably back to back because the kids don't look any different in Bad News Bears go to Japan.
And they're referencing going to Japan. That's the stakes
They're setting
of this movie.
I don't like Bad News Bears go to Japan, but the kids are great in it.
Yeah.
It's not the kids' fault.
Okay. So there is another kind of wish fulfillment in this film that speaks, I think, to a lot of kids who grew up in the 70s and into the 80s and, what we were all experiencing vis-a-vis what culture was at that time. I may not have identified with Jackie Earle Hailey as a young man, but as an older man watching this movie, I was really relating to his fractured father relationship that gets resolved over the course of his arc in this movie. His father, William Devane, who is his father, by becoming the surrogate coach, gets an opportunity to be the father that he never was. And Jackie Earle Hailey, who is, on some level, has to also step up. I mean, he makes him step up. It's not like it's not like he doesn't have a responsibility in this also, it seems, because he actually goes to Jackie Earle Hailey and he makes him essentially say, would you have come to me if you didn't need a coach?
Yeah, look,
if you just needed a dad. The dad thing is what I'm talking about in the 70s.
I love that storyline in the movie. I did not.
It brought me to tears, actually.
That would be my exhibit A. If I was at a tribunal making the case for the Bad News Bears and Breaking Training as a solid movie that should be added to a serious collection or should be taken seriously, my exhibit A would be the handling of that storyline, because that could be really mawkish.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That could be really cliched. Instead, it's remarkably realistic. They capture a realism of that dynamic that's really real, and
especially for that time period.
And yeah, especially for that time period. But it highlights that Paul Brickman is a really good writer, because he doesn't just write a corny subplot to hook you in. It's not corn.
No, he found the elegant simplicity of that subplot, that the necessity of that subplot to drive the actions forward.
And he leaned into the reality. Things play out between them the way in a there's still a wish fulfillment going on there, but in a way that's believable, that's plausible, that's compelling, but also just the handling of Michael Pressman, of directing it, understanding it, and getting it, and
Absolutely.
getting the real light milieu of him coming off of his work at the plant. All right, and Jackie Earle Hailey waiting for him, and him not recognizing Jackie Earle Hailey.
And even the way that Willem Devane chooses to kind of like, while he's waiting for his ride to pick him up, he's kind of walking on a curb, and he's And his wardrobe choice, which is
both characters' wardrobe choice, but then also truly, it's William Devane and Jackie Earle Hailey selling it as actors, just taking this material and selling it.
How good the two of them are together, and how, though there's an age difference.
You brought it up and you nailed it. They are a great father and son match.
Yeah.
Well, of course they are. I guess I always thought that, but I'm the guy who thinks about, because actors, I'm shocked at how actors don't look like each other. Yeah. And they play brothers and father and sons. No, they are a really terrific match.
Yeah. Yeah.
They look like they could be, like, he looks like he could be his son. Yeah.
And also, Jackie Earle Hailey is, he's a kid, and this was not uncommon in the 70s, a kid who is basically living on his own wits.
Yeah.
Come home when you want to come home.
No, he's beyond latchkey. No, there's nobody taking care of him. He lives with his mom, but he does his own thing.
He lives with his messed up mom, probably.
Yeah. But he's like his mom's roommate. He's not like the kid that she takes care of.
Yeah, and so like he's basically out on his own, and he's got this hardened shell, which is what makes him the shepherd for the entire group of who are much more kid-like kids, basically. But when he finally encounters his father, and even though his father becomes the coach, Paul Brickman, and I really got to hand it to him, he holds off that drama. He allows him to become the coach, because that doesn't solve all these years of me not having a father. The fact that you're here now is great that you're here now, but you're still a deadbeat dad.
Having a deadbeat dad. No, you watch like, oh, you're rising to the occasion. Oh, you're being good. Oh, you're handling this really well. Well, isn't that great? Where has this guy been my whole motherfucking life?
Yeah, you bought me a blue bike, and that was it, and then you were gone. That blue bike
is such a terrific. I never clocked what a good speech that was.
Brickman wrote a good one there,
and he's speaking for every fucking kid who had a dad that fucking checked out.
Yeah,
he's speaking, and then that was my situation. Whether the metaphor whether the blue bike happened to you or not.
Yeah,
the idea that a deal was presented to you.
Yeah.
And you either accepted the deal or didn't, that's really powerful, and two fantastic actors fucking nailed that scene.
Now,
in a pool hall, no less.
He mentions like, oh, that was 8 years ago or however many years ago.
8 years ago.
And we kind of did a little bit of math and figured, okay, that must have been around 1968, 1969. The dad's wearing these fatigues, these army fatigues. He probably went to Vietnam. That's probably what happened.
He's still waiting for his, no, but it's like, he's not making a deal with the son if he gives him the blue bike and goes to the war. He's making a deal with the son if he comes back for the war and knows he's not going to stay.
Yeah.
And gives him the blue bike.
Well, and it's a tough deal because like the mother is complicit in some way, but that's never, ever explored beyond this. The only thing he says is, you look like your mother.
Yeah.
Well,
him. It's obvious. There's obviously something to do with the mom, but even if he can't stand the mom, he can still be there for the kid. I mean, like, you know, it's just one of the things I remember talking to Harvey Keitel, who's kind of a surrogate father to me, about my real dad who split on me, and you know, he just said the right thing. He just said, "Quentin, if he didn't want to be there, you were lucky. Go.
Yeah, whatever he was going through, he was going.
No, just go.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be there, go.
Yeah.
You were lucky to not be stuck with a guy who didn't want to be there."
Well, it's tough stuff in this movie, and in this Bad News Bears movie, all of a sudden we're presented with that, and it really
we're talking really heavy about a really fun movie and a
but at its heart it has this emotional hook that grabs into you, especially if you've had issues with your father, which most of us did in that time period.
Because it doesn't deal with those issues in a corny way. It deals with it in a really like a proper 70s movie.
Yeah.
Not a 50s movie, not a 60s movie, like a proper 70s movie. It deals with that stuff in a clear-eyed, realistic way.
Because when Jackie Earle Hailey, I keep calling him Jackie Earle Hailey.
But that's his fucking name.
I know, but I keep having to like, I should use his character name. When
Kelly Lee, no, call him Jackie Earle Hailey.
When Jackie Earle Hailey, when you see that tough exterior crack and you realize he's just a kid who needs a dad.
Yeah.
It's really intense. It's an intense moment for me. I was really emotionally hooked by it. And this movie has two really strong emotional moments. And that's one of them. The second emotional moment is in the end, which is just the let them play moment.
That's the sports movie moment.
I started crying in the theater watching it.
Look, I've always liked that moment. I've always thought it worked really well. Watching it with you guys, you guys were just a really great audience for this movie because I've always really liked that moment. But all of a sudden, I found myself fucking tearing up, and I don't remember tearing up the last two times I watched it. All right, but I remember I'm like tearing up, and then I look over at you guys, and you guys are wiping tears away.
Well, let's bring her in. Gala, come on in.
Go.
Okay, so I had never seen the Bad News Bears before. And so before watching...
You are literally talking about one of the movies I saw the most of all the seven. Because I had a huge crush on Tatum O'Neal. So like during the entire time it played, there wasn't a weekend I didn't see it again. And I usually watched it twice when I went and saw it. You know?
So I had never seen it before. So when I heard that we were going to be doing this, I obviously was like, well, I have to watch Bad News Bears before I watch the Bad News Bears in Breaking Training. So I popped that on, and that movie kind of so effortlessly just flows. Like I know that
Ritchie does an amazing.
I know that there is a plot to Bad News Bears because it is like all plot, but it just feels like a story. Like you're just like in their lives, and it's just.
I literally think a case can be made that it can make the top 10 of the 70s.
Oh yeah, easily. A Bad News Bears.
I wouldn't say easily. It's
but for kids. Not every movie has to be Taxi Driver.
I'm not saying for kids. I'm saying just one of the top 10. I don't think it easily makes that. But a case can be made, depending on your taste, that it could make that.
And then when you watch and you just go into the Bad News Bears and Breaking Training, and I know you guys as kids, when it came out, had to wait like a full year and a half or 2 years for it to come out.
Oh, you get it right
But
away.
I get it right away. I get it like 2 days
instant gratification.
later. Instant gratification. And it's so great because you have all the characters completely built up in Bad News Bears. So like, I know, the snot-nosed one is the one who broke his leg. Oh, Tanner's the
booger-eating spaz.
Yeah, the booger-eating spaz is who broke his leg. Okay, Kelly's the one on the motorbike. Okay, I know who all these people are already. So I'm just so easily able to cheer for them and follow them. And it's
The
like,
Archuleta brothers.
yeah, and Marks.
Yeah.
The little kid Marks, who we found out.
Oh my God, the one that looks exactly like Harpo Marx.
At one point, Quentin actually said, "Oh, yeah, that little kid, he's like Harpo Marx."
Yeah,
and then they call him Marx.
Yeah,
all of a sudden,
and
in the
then
movie.
we see at the end his name actually ends with Marx. I go, really? Is he really a Marx? Well, that's not. And then Gala looks it up, and yes, he's Gummo's fucking grandkid.
Yeah, he's the grandnnephew of the Marx brothers.
Looks the spitting image of Harpo Marx.
Like you could cast a Little Rascals Marx Brothers movie.
I know all the characters because I just watched Bad News Bears, and so it makes it so easy for me to root for them. Like when I see the two Mexican kids.
Yeah.
coming up. Let's talk about one of our favorite scenes in the movie because when we saw it, we were like, oh my God, the sequence is amazing. The dinner scene. When they're at the kids are all like, okay, we have no coach, but we have to get to Texas, to Houston, and we're basically going to tell the truth to our parents about like we've picked this guy as our coach. Oh, he's been on the green forever, and how much money we need. But we get to see each of their home lives.
Yeah, they do like a round table of a shot from each one of their dinner tables.
Yeah. But Kelly Leak is like, but you got to sell it to your parents. They're going to ask about Coach blah blah blah, and you got to tell them that we
never see what Kelly does. We don't have to.
Well, he doesn't have to.
He's got no one to go to.
He doesn't have any permission. Yeah. He just goes.
But the commentary on the sequence of what we learn about each of those kids from seeing the dinner.
Well, it's really interesting because it's not a failing in the first movie, but it's a missed opportunity. If they were going to add a little bit more vermicitude, if they could do it without stopping the movie, it would have been nice to see a few of the parents in the first movie of some of the kids. So this is our first chance to see Rudy Stein's parents. It's our first chance to see Abdul Rahim's parents.
And his brothers.
And his brothers. His brothers like talking shit.
His brothers who totally know what's going on.
Oh, totally get it.
Instinctively, without even saying it, we know that they know.
Yeah, who don't burn him but bust his balls.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. That is a sequence that I am positive was written by Paul Brickman, but I'm also positive was designed with the same camera angle in every single shot, and then it's just a series of shots, was designed by Michael Pressman. And it literally is a really clever idea, really well executed by the director, but obviously diagrammed by the screenwriter.
And also...
And perfectly performed by the actors.
Yeah, and as Gala is saying, like, it says everything you need to know about each one of these kids and their family life and what they're going through.
Because the parents ask, well, like, how much money do you need? Like, does your coach say you need? And so
each one has a different amount.
Each one has a different amount, and it's basically what they would think that they can ask their parents for. So, like, one is like $25, and he's like, oh, like, well, you probably need a little bit more money than that. Like, how are you gonna do it? And then $15.
No, it's
and then the $75.
But it ends on the Mexican kids.
Yeah, it ends on the Mexican kids. Oh my God.
It's a combination of the kids are asking what they think their parents can give, but also an exaggerated amount of what they
think they need.
To them, they think this is asking a lot.
Yeah.
This is asking a lot.
Which it might be from some of the families.
Yeah.
Well,
which it actually is.
When they get to the very end, the punchline in air quotes, because it is a poignant moment.
It's a tough moment.
It's a tough moment when it's the Mexican brothers.
Yeah.
And they tell their dad, we need $4.
Yeah, everybody's been asking for like 50 or 25.
And he's like, $4 for the both of us.
For the both of us, yeah.
And it's like, because he knows that his dad and his parents might not even be able to give them the $4.
And also you see many, many, many more kids around the table than you see
the
other kids.
Right.
And
the table's full of kids.
Actually, oddly enough, the only ones that you deal with anybody more than a sister or one brother is the black family and the Mexican family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think there's only the one other family that has the sister, and then everyone else is just an only child.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you don't see Kelly's character because Kelly has no one to ask.
He doesn't need to
And
ask
that's
his mom.
why the sequence tells you everything you need to know.
Kelly not only looks like a teenager, he lives the life of a teenager, even though he's not quite the age of a teenager.
And he's out robbing a car, stealing a car anyways. And by the way, that car is stolen because the cops in Texas do show up because they saw the stolen van. Isn't that
They
why?
make it clear that it's not stolen because they say, okay, as long as the car is not stolen, you guys can go on to Houston, the Astrodome and play your game. So apparently the car isn't stolen.
It was
borrowed. It was borrowed.
Right.
Okay, so
this is a mysterious car parked in front of the place.
Carmine.
They pulled a Quentin and just parked their car in a red zone.
Yes, exactly. Well, no. The tags have probably gone on to,
Yeah. California tag. What's this?
Well, that's how Quentin got caught all the time.
Yeah, that's how you. Exactly.
Yeah.
Quentin, there was a time when we would be going to a movie, like we'd go into the Chinese theater. I'm like, Quentin, we're going to be really late. You're like, no, don't worry. The credits before the film. Yeah, but we've got to park. And we get there, and Quentin just like pulls up into the red zone in front of the Chinese theater. Okay, let's go. And I'm like, we can't park because it's a red zone. And he's like, oh, this is a phantom plates. That's what you kept saying. These are phantom plates.
Oh, I did have phantom plates. No,
and we would come out of the movie theater and there's like 3 tickets on the windshield.
And I threw it away.
Yeah, just throw them away. Let's go get something to eat. Let's go to Denny's.
I had phantom plates. All right. I had my stepfather's car from Miami, so there was no record here that attached to me for anything. So
they were Florida plates.
If it was the kind of parking spot where they would put a boot on bonnet, I'm finished. I'm sunk. All right. And if they towed it, I'm sunk because I have no papers to get it out. But whatever tickets went to some address in Miami that didn't exist anymore. So they literally were phantom plates.
I mean,
that was a superpower.
I feel like Tanner with Kelly going to the movies with you. That's what it was like for me.
That was kind of a Kelly move.
Yeah, it was a Kelly move.
No,
you're like Kelly grown up.
I did. I was a Kelly grown up. Yeah.
Let's talk about one of my other favorite things, which is the addition of Budweiser in the movie. Okay. I think this is so artfully done.
And Clifton James.
Who's
fun in the movie.
Clifton, Live and Let Die, the man with the golden gun, James.
The tourist in Bond, basically. The game is a charity match. The Little League game, which is taken very seriously, is a charity game that's going to be played before an actual baseball game.
That's being sponsored by Budweiser.
That's being sponsored by Budweiser. And the Budweiser character wants the Bears because they're like the team from California. And
they get public relations.
Yeah, and they had public relations. And then when they get interviewed for the news and they're in the paper and he wants the Bears. And so when all the things are going down, he's the one that actually fights for them to get on the field.
They're playing for their friend who's injured and can't come. That's a good story.
Hey, I want the kid in the paper. That's a great story. The kids from California come all the way from California playing for their little friend.
And his performance is so good, but the way that they weave in Budweiser as like the hero of the movie.
Budweiser's that guy could have easily been like the villain or the foil of the movie.
And he's the total hero.
He's the total hero, the Texan hero.
We're going to put you up at the Hilton. We're going to get him. And then when you see him at the game with all of his ladies.
No, Quentin, he's like,
all of his Texas ladies.
Quentin called them the Budweiser bitches.
The Budweiser bitches. No, he's like when they cut to Joe Spinelli, all right, in Rocky, when you realize that his old leg breaker boss is rooting for him.
Yeah.
Is it so it's one of Michael Pressman's almost Rene Claire aspects, that it's almost like a French farce kind of thing, that the fact it's a sweet moment that at the big game, all the characters that we like, that we've met along their journey, all end up getting tickets to go to the game.
As Roger and Quentin have said, there is even though it's such a fun movie, there is such a deep, thorough line story that hooks you in.
There's a strong human story.
When Kelly,
when they play seriously.
Well, they play when finally his dad, who's coaching them, calls him out, like, throw that cigarette away. What are you doing? Like, if you got a problem with me, say it. If not, get off the field.
He becomes a dad.
And Kelly starts screaming at him. Wow, you really feel his pain in that moment.
Yeah.
When he's like, I don't need you. Did you hear it? No one's going to treat me like this. Did you hear me? And like his dad's just ignoring him. And he's like, I don't need you. I don't need any of this. But then he goes and he has to walk through the other team, which are just saying slurs galore. Like any
all
slur.
these Texas locals they've hired.
They're saying any
And they're
slur.
really good.
They're really
Especially
good.
the lead jerk guy.
Chewing tobacco.
is particularly good.
But
Yeah.
when he goes and they start saying slurs, basically calling their team
And
gay.
calling out his dad, yeah.
But then he
The
doesn't
F
care.
word.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
F word. As he's walking through that team and they start saying the slurs about his team, like, hey, you're pretty good, but like those guys or whatever. And then they say it about the coach, his dad.
Yeah.
And he turns around and he just socks him because even though he has that pain in his heart of like,
It's still his dad.
It's still his dad. And it is such a powerful
And he obviously
moment.
loves his dad because even before we know that he's going to go to him, he's got his picture and he's like looking at his picture when he's alone, when Kelly is alone, smoking a cigarette off because he just like
He's a lone wolf.
brooding because he's a lone wolf. He pulls out of his jacket his dad's picture and he's looking at it.
And his friend
Well,
is like,
I don't think he just keeps his dad's picture to look at from time to time.
No.
I think he knows.
Apparently he does.
No.
He's got it.
I think he knows he's going to see him when he's
Was it in a little tiny
Houston.
frame?
It
even?
was actually. It was a little tiny frame.
Like
But
a little tiny frame picture like he stole off of his mother's, bedside table.
That would be corny because I don't believe he would carry a picture of his dad. But if he knows he's going to see him and we want to tell the audience what's going on without having a speech.
Well, I am not the dramatist that Paul Brickman is.
the greatest speech, though, it comes from Carmine.
Yes, you are.
Thank you.
It comes from Carmine in that moment, though,
Yeah.
where he's like, oh, who's that guy? And Carmine's like, oh, it's just like some guy that he knows in Houston that he used to know. It's some guy he
But
used
Carmen
to know.
suggests that he knows more.
Yeah, he does, but because they're friends, and he's the one who brings Carmine in. But I love that he's like, oh, it's just some guy that he used to know. And then you cut to the picture, and you're like, oh my God, it's his dad. Like, it just has to be his dad. And then
It's such a great device, though, for the writer to find that and use it as a device. And like you said, to balance it so that it's not corny and to actually make it real, kind of human and real and tough.
Look, we're the kids living through this reality at exactly this time, and it was very real.
Yeah, that's why that's why it was fantasy fulfillment.
God, I even leaned over to Dad. I don't know if you heard me in the movie saying, like, is this just like what all parents were like in the 70s? Like, is this just, and I actually said to him, I don't know if you heard, but like, is this what like you and Quentin went through? Like,
Yeah, it's exactly what we went through.
Yeah.
And
it's exactly what we went through.
It hurts my heart so deeply for you guys, even as adults, because like, I'm so lucky I have my dad, and like your children are so lucky they have you. And I tell my dad all the time, it's like the wrongs that your parents have done to you, you can right them through your relationship with your children. And I think you guys are both doing that. I think that that's something.
It's a lovely thing to say.
Thank you, actually.
So that's all from me. To hear the rest of this episode, including discussions of 2 more movies and our award winners, sign up for the Video Archives Patreon. You'll get access to full Video Archives episodes, the Video Archives After Show, exclusive merch, and more. Head on over to patreon.com/videoarchives to subscribe today. The Video Archives podcast is hosted by Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avary and produced by Josh Richmond and Gala Avary. Find out more about the show and get Video Archives merch at videoarchivespodcast.com. You can also find us on Twitter at Video Archives and on Instagram at Video Archives Pod.